All right, let's go now to Ramisha Shade with your tropical update.
It is time to track the tropics, and we actually have more action happening out there. So let's talk about where we are in this hurricane season. We surpassed the peak of hurricane season, which was September 10th. We had about a 3-week lull in the action, but that is no longer the case. We've got a major hurricane out there, and we have 2 other tropical waves, one with the medium chance for development and another with a high chance for development. Now you're wondering, will any of this be heading our way? Well, I think we are safe for the rest of this week, but we've still got to get through the end of hurricane season before I can give you the all clear, particularly for Southeast Texas. If we can get through the middle of October without anything tropical coming at us, I think we're okay. Usually, historically, the chances of us getting anything after that, extremely low, but we've got to get there. So we still have some weeks to really watch things. Of course, we now have had 2 hurricanes for this 2025 Atlantic Basin hurricane season. Aaron, which grew to be a monster category 5, and now Hurricane Gabrielle, which was super messy, sloppy, raggedy looking for the longest, but it eventually did become a hurricane on Sunday, yesterday, and it's gone through a really big cycle of rapid intensification from a Cat 1 all the way up to a Category 4 major hurricane as of the latest advisory. So over the next week, there's a chance, a medium to high chance, that we could have a tropical storm or Hurricane Humberto and maybe a tropical storm Imelda. Those are the next 2 names on the list. Then the name after that a little bit easier, Jerry. But we could have 2 more tropical systems over the next week because we've got more waves that we're monitoring. But since Gabrielle did strengthen to become a hurricane, and a major one at that, we have now had 7 named storms for the season, 2 of those becoming hurricanes and 2 of those becoming major hurricanes. Of course, Aaron and Gabrielle. We're still kind of behind schedule, below average for the season. Typically for an entire season, we'd have 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. So we're getting there with the major hurricanes, but we still got a ways to go with the named storms. So hopefully things will stay below average, but there's always a chance for more action. So let's talk about Gabrielle. Of course, like I just said, Gabrielle grew into a Category 1 hurricane yesterday and rapidly intensified. So thank goodness that track starting late last week was shifting farther to the east, keeping it away from making landfall over Bermuda. So right now it continues to appear that it should safely pass east of Bermuda over the next few days. Then it's going to be out over the open water in the central Atlantic. As it starts to push farther north and east, it actually could roll right over the Azores by late Thursday into Friday. So that would be the next major land area that it could impact. So here's a look at Hurricane Gabrielle on our satellite. 4 p.m. advisory put this thing at 140 miles per hour as far as those maximum sustained winds are concerned. So it is major. This is a monster. This is not something you want coming your way. But the good news is that it is staying safely east of Bermuda. You could see some of that cloud deck from the outer rain bands rolling over Bermuda, but the island should escape the majority of the wrath from this major hurricane. Gabrielle currently moving to the north-northeast at 12 miles per hour. It's going to make an even sharper curve to the northeast over the coming days. It's just going to be hanging out over the open water in the central Atlantic. And then by late Thursday and Friday, it will get close to the Azores, right in here, and then it will gradually be weakening, likely around 70 miles per hour, maybe still 75, 80 miles per hour as it hits the Azores, and then it weakens as it pushes farther to the north and east as it gets closer to parts of Spain. So it is traveling a long distance, but that pressure currently at 948 millibars. That pressure has been dropping, and of course the wind speeds have been increasing. So as far as our GFS Futurecast is concerned, you can see it showing Hurricane Gabrielle starting to push away from Bermuda over the next couple of days, and then by Thursday night, Friday morning, 6, 7 o'clock, rolling right over parts of the Azores, dumping heavy rain, strong wind, big waves. So definitely a powerful system, not quite as powerful by late in the week, but definitely still a strong system that will be impacting the Azores, and then it still holds together as it gets closer to parts of Spain. So certainly something to watch with Gabrielle, but the good news for us, it's not moving in our direction at all. It will stay far away from the U.S. and it's not going to be a problem. So that is certainly some good news for us. Now, I want to get to this graphic because this is where we could have some potential issues, maybe with some of these systems impacting the U.S. We have two additional systems that we're monitoring, one in the orange with a 50% chance for development over the next 7 days, and one in red with an 80% shot for development. So medium chance for the first wave and an 80% high chance for development for the second tropical wave. Notice the general motion. I think the one with the high chance has probably a better shot of curving more to the north and taking a similar path to Gabrielle, or maybe a path that Hurricane Erin took. But the one in the orange, notice that parts of the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos are included in that area of concern. So this one could potentially have more impacts on our areas closer to the U.S. So parts of the Bahamas, we can't even totally rule out the east coast of the U.S. from the Florida coast all the way up to the Carolinas. So we're certainly monitoring this closely. Still appears that neither one of these systems will roll into the Gulf. Chances are low. So I think we're good for at least another week or so, but of course we're continuing to monitor it. Also monitoring a big plume of that dusty dry air, that Saharan dust that continues to push off of the west coast of Africa in waves. You'll see a lot of that dust down into parts of the Atlantic, but there are also areas where there's no dust at all. And notice for the Gulf, not really seeing much dust rolling in over the next week. So if we can get something going in the Gulf, conditions would be pretty good for it to develop. Not much dust out there. That would mean stable air. So we don't have that. We have more unstable air. We got very warm temperatures in the middle, even upper 80s still in a few spots. So warm air that would help to fuel these systems. And of course, we are still in what is typically, historically, the busiest month of hurricane season, which is September. So we'll continue to monitor it. Even as we go into October, there's still going to be that possible to likely chance of maybe another tropical system or two developing in the Northwest Caribbean, the Gulf, Western Atlantic, a higher chance. So we're not out of the woods. Like I said, we really got to get to the middle of October before things kind of start to improve as far as our chances for getting hit. They really start to go down after around October 15th. So we'll be monitoring things closely. I think right now we are okay. Of course, Hurricane Gabrielle is super scary looking. It's dangerous. It's huge, but it's moving away from the U.S. and we'll be monitoring those other two tropical waves. Right now, doesn't appear like it's going to be a huge threat for Texas. All right, well, that would do it for your tropical update for today. Stay safe out there. Remember, even when it's quiet, you always want to be prepared. Make sure you have what you need in your hurricane gear kit, and make sure you have the insurance you need and have those papers protected just in case we get something.